Welcome to this week's broadcast, Panthers. My name is Emily Mitten, and I am joined today with
Carter Colby. In today's episode, we have much to discuss, but before we dive into our upcoming events, we have a special segment in honor of Women's History Month.
Each person in our broadcast media class was tasked with asking a staff member at our school an important question. Is there a woman in your life that has had a big impact on you?
Let's see what our staff has to say in the first part of this special segment.
I'm going to ask you a question today about, is there any women in your life that were a big impact in your life?
Any women? My mother. My mother raised 4 children, always had dinner on the table every night, was just one of the hardest working women I've ever met in my life. She always put herself before others, so I just thought that was a really good quality to look up to. She was a great role model as a young child, and even now today we still talk a lot because I have young children, so she's always giving me advice on how to bring up my kids. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would just say my mom.
So, what's the main reason that your mom was the biggest person?
We just spent a lot of time together, right? My dad worked a lot, so my mom was always carting us to games, carting us to basketball practice, to soccer games, to parties. So, not saying my dad didn't do that stuff, but my mom was kind of the sole transporter of us doing events and stuff. Me and my siblings were very active with athletics and sports teams and, clubs and stuff, so she was always kind of carting us around, so, yeah.
Mrs. Powers, for Women's History Month, we're going around and asking teachers, who is a woman in your life that has had a big impact on you?
So 2 women come to mind. My great-grandmother helped foster my love for art, and she really inspired me to go to art school and follow my dreams. And my mom, because my mom is a really strong woman. She lost her first child to cancer and still was able to continue life positively and carry on a wonderful life and making good choices for my brother and myself.
Since Women's History Month is fast approaching, could you please tell us about a woman that has made a big impact in your life, please?
So a woman that's made a big impact in my life would be my mother. So she's a terrific mom, super nice person, just couldn't ask for a better mom. But more than that, she's a fantastic listener, and when you talk to her, it's like you're the only thing that matters, and you can see her reacting to everything that you say. And so just having her to listen, there to listen to me, it's really great for me growing up, and it's also, helped me as a counselor, with understanding the impact of good listening skills and how to do it. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Those were some great answers. Thank you to the first set of staff members that we interviewed.
Now, let's move into our upcoming events.
Our first upcoming event is the Department of Safety presentation for kindergarten through 5th grade, happening on March 26th at 1 p.m. We hope that everybody enjoys this informational event and learns a few things about safety that they didn't know before.
Next up, we have the 3v3 basketball tournament, hosted by the freshman class on March 28th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Concessions will be available, and it'll be a lot of fun. Remember that if you don't have a team, you can come and watch for the low price of $5. We hope to see you there.
Our final upcoming event is the academic team's Panther Challenge on March 29th from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Good luck to each member of LRS's academic team, and remember to have fun.
Now let's go over an event that happened a bit earlier this month, Pi Day. Pi Day happens every year on March 14th. Here's Avery Ethorn to talk more about it now.
What is Pi Week?
So Pi Week is a bunch of activities that we plan around Pi Day, and Pi Day is on March 14th because the first 3 digits of pi are 3.14. So we, instead of celebrating just for a day this year, we decided to celebrate for a whole week.
What are some of the activities you guys do?
So some of the activities that we did, the real fun one is that those that learned the most digits of pi get to pi the principal or pi another teacher. So the top two students who get the most digits in their grade get to pi a teacher or pi the principal, and then the next three in order get to do a pie eating contest. So those are two of our big events that happened this year. We also made circular mobiles. We made bracelets with little charms that were 3.14. We got to have some really cool snacks that were round, like moon pies or donut holes, and then on Friday had a big celebration with Domino's Pizza. So everything was kind of a celebration with either the digits or around circles.
Do you think you'll do it next year?
We will absolutely do it next year. We will definitely have the pie eating contest and pie the teachers and pie the principal. We will probably do some other activities for the other days, but it will definitely happen again next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Avery, for showing us what happened during this Pi Day at LRS. Now, let's go to Eben Moody, who will give us a look into what happened on March 17th when there was a new principal and assistant principal for the day.
These two girls were able to count to the highest portion of pi. Because of this, they were awarded to become the principal and vice principal of the day. Let's see how they thought of it. So, the first question I would like to ask you is how much of pi were you able to count up to?
I was able to count up to 145 digits in second place.
What was it like being the principal and vice principal for the day?
Being the vice principal was it was a little boring but fun at the same time. My favorite part of the day was probably I yelled at a couple of high schoolers to do their work. And my least favorite part of the day was I had to sit through a meeting for 20 minutes. But overall, it was pretty fun.
What was the trick to remembering so much of pi?
There are actually some creators called ASAP Science, which sing songs about science, math, social studies, all sorts of different things. Mostly science, though. It's in the name. But they go to a 100, a 200, and a 300 digits pi song. I learned mine by 100 last year, 200 this year.
Thank you for your time and have a good listening. The first question I would like to ask you is how much of pi were you able to count up to?
177 digits of pi.
What was it like being the principal and or vice principal for the day?
It was fun being the principal for the day. I loved getting out of schoolwork, but the most boring part was the meeting.
What was your trick to remembering so much of pi?
Song, just like Ava, but we made it up.
Well, thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Eben, for giving us an inside look on the new administration for the day. Now let's go to Cadence Ritchie, who will be giving us an overview into what happened on the Basketball Sports Awards on March 17th.
Hi Panthers, my name is Cadence Ritchie, and today I'll be going over the recent basketball awards. First, I have an interview with Mason, who received the Most Improved Award for the middle school boys at the ceremony. My first question is, what awards did you win?
Most Improved.
Nice. And how long have you been playing basketball?
This year was my first year.
What motivates you to play basketball?
Really just to have fun, and I just like basketball.
Did you expect to receive this award?
I know that was either going to be me or Emmett because we both improved a lot, but I went from not being able to do a layup to doing some pretty good shots.
What was your favorite moment from the season?
I can't remember when it was exactly, but I got a buzzer beater. I can't remember what team we were up against, but
wow,
yeah.
That's cool. And how did you feel when they announced your name for the award?
Kind of surprised because I didn't really expect to actually get the award, but
From not playing very much and learning to getting, some pretty important minutes in some games that were close, particularly in Lancaster. And in 1 year made as much improvement as I've seen anybody make. So the most improved award this year for middle school boys goes to Mason Lackey.
And is there anyone you want to thank that helped you achieve this award?
my coach, Mr. Natty, he helped a lot. And Mr. Locke, who coached conditioning, and he helped me at the start when I went to conditioning for the first time.
Nice. Thank you so much, Mason, for chatting with me. And special shout out to Mason, Tyler, Mercedes, Maisie, Grace, Tyler, Lucas, Emily, Bailey, and Araya, who all received standout awards for their awesome work this year. Congratulations to all the athletes who competed hard in this year's basketball seasons. They truly left it all on the court. Now we return to the host.
Thank you, Cadence, for giving us a recap on what happened at the Basketball Sports Awards.
Now let's go to Emily Mitten, who will be giving us a club spotlight on the Yearbook Club, who just finished the 2025 yearbook.
Hello everybody, my name is Emily Min, and today I'll be doing a club spotlight on the Yearbook Club. This group of hardworking individuals just finished creating and submitting their 2025 yearbook, so they're eager to share an inside look into how their club operates. As for my interviews, Cadence Ritchie, a senior member, as well as Mrs. Woods, who is the club's advisor, will be joining me today to answer some of my questions. Let's dive straight into the interviews. Hello Cadence, thank you for joining me today for this interview for the Yearbook Club Spotlight. My first question for you is, how long have you been in the Yearbook Club for?
I've been in Yearbook for 2 years. I joined my junior year, so this is my second year. Yeah.
So what are the responsibilities for a yearbook member?
The main responsibilities for the yearbook member is basically just finishing your pages on time, but it also kind of entails like brainstorming ideas, because at the beginning of the year we brainstorm theme ideas and what we want the cover page to be like. So a responsibility would be contributing to that, and then as we decide that, then we choose what pages we sign up for, and then we have deadlines. So the main responsibility would be to complete your page by that deadline.
Oh, awesome, how cool. And then how is the yearbook actually created?
It's created through a website called Yearbook Avenue, and it's fairly intuitive, and we just upload all the images that we take and pictures to there, and then we create our own designs, or they have templates that you can use as well, so that's how it's created.
Oh, awesome. And then what is your favorite aspect of being in the yearbook club?
Probably the creativity that you're kind of able to do, because you're able to have a lot of freedom with the page design. So my favorite pages, I normally do the Winter Carnival pages, so I like being able to choose what moments, and because I was there, I'm able to highlight moments that actually were more enticing for the students. So I'd say really the creativity and where you're kind of able to express yourself through the yearbook is probably my favorite part.
Awesome, thank you so much for joining me for this interview today.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Mrs. Woods. Thank you for joining me for this interview today on the Yearbook Club Spotlight. My first question for you, since you're an advisor, is how long have you been an advisor for the LRS yearbook?
So it took me a minute. I had to go back and count. I think 2015 yearbook was my first year, so we started in 2014. So this, I think, is my 11th year, if I counted right.
Wow, that's quite the achievement.
Longer than I was thinking. But
And what is it like to advise the yearbook club?
So when I started right from scratch pretty much. And it is, we have to meet. Usually we used to meet every other week, because at the time I wasn't teaching a high school class, so it was difficult to meet each week. But we met every other week, and we plan out the yearbook. We plan out the organization, what we want in the yearbook, how we want it to be organized, if we want a theme, if we want color theme, style theme. It's all done online, which is wonderful. That's a great change in the program. And we work through Jostens, and they do a great job of helping us out.
Yeah, awesome. And then kind of going off of that, what is a behind-the-scenes aspect of Yearbook that people likely don't know about?
Well, I don't think people understand it is a lot of work. But what's nice is the more people we have in the club, the easier it is. Once we get decisions made, usually that's the hardest part. You have to make the decisions of the order, kind of like I just said. But once those decisions are made, then we have to get pictures. We have to sometimes reach out for pictures because we're not able to get everywhere. We learn a little bit about photography, and I know Linnea this year got a camera and she loves doing a lot of the photography. And then just putting it all together and learning the ins and outs. The program actually does a whole lot more than what we use it for, but I think we put together quite a yearbook, so I'm happy about it.
Yes, we definitely do.
Yeah.
And then, best question for last, what is your favorite aspect of Yearbook?
I think my favorite is for years, I had students growing up through middle school, and I didn't have any classes in the high school. Now I have this broadcasting class, but it was nice to reconnect with a lot of them and see them in a different light instead of just being their teacher. We can actually collaborate and have some laughs here and there and put together a product. I think my favorite part is in March when we finally finished our last piece and we're all like, oh, and then when we get it in May and we have our big dedication, I always like, all the kids always like surprising the person who it was dedicated for. I think it's pretty special.
Well, thank you for joining me for this interview today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Woods and Cadence Ritchie, for allowing me to interview you. I hope that you all enjoyed learning more about the Yearbook Club and will be purchasing one before the end of the year. Now, let's go back to the hosts.
Thank you, Emily, for giving us a look into what happens in the Yearbook Club.
Now, let's go to Kassidy Smith, who did a big story for Meals on Wheels.
Hello, I'm Kassidy Smith, and I'll be going over the story of Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is a program where multiple community-based programs across the country work to provide meals for seniors with growing hunger who struggle to get nutritious meals themselves. Now, I'll tell you some information from Maureen Platt-Russell, the director of Meals on Wheels for the Littleton Senior Center. Maureen has worked in human services for 20 plus years, specifically with older adults. Working in a senior center with one of their programs being home-delivered meals empowers older adults to live independently in their homes for longer, and that's important to Maureen. Maureen generally helps each morning get meals packaged and out for delivery for the volunteers. Judy Ash, their home delivery meals coordinator, oversees that aspect of their program and makes sure that 180 meals go out every Monday through Friday. She makes certain that individuals that want frozen home-delivered meals get them on the day of their choosing. Home-delivered meals, as stated before, help people remain independent in their homes for longer. This nutritional support and a daily welfare check will make sure that people are safe and well-fed in their homes. Meals on Wheels is not just about nutrition, it's about a daily welfare check. For many of the people that they deliver to, volunteers will be the only people they see in a day. People can sign up to become a home-delivered meals driver or can volunteer in any other aspect of the senior center. People can also make a donation to the Lisbon Area Senior Center, which helps with their programs, including the home-delivered meals. Thank you, Maureen Platt-Russell, for all this information. We now go to Deborah Thompson. What is the best thing about receiving Meals on Wheels?
The best thing is because I'm diabetic, that I'm supposed to eat 3 meals a day, and I never was doing that. But now that I get the Meals on Wheels, it reminds me to make sure I eat at lunchtime to help my diabetes so my counts would be better.
How did you start receiving them?
I started receiving them because I had back surgery, and to make sure that I had a lunch and a dinner, I asked them if they could send me Meals on Wheels.
Do you recommend Meals on Wheels for other communities?
Yes, I think it's good. It helps that the elder people are eating lunch, because lunches is really supposed to be an important meal for the day. And a lot of elderly people have diabetes and all kinds of stuff, so they really need to eat three times a day, and because they're only going to get sicker.
Thank you.
Okay.
Big thanks to the Meals on Wheels Foundation for their work to help the seniors in need, and to Maureen Platt Russell and Deborah Thompson for sharing their thoughts and info on the program in our community. And now, back to the hosts.
Thank you, Kassidy, for your amazing story on Meals on Wheels.
Let's now go to Evan Moody, who will be covering the Honor Roll Assembly that happened this Thursday, March 20th.
On March 20th, Lisbon Regional School held the first Honor Roll Assembly. I'm interviewing one of the 17 people who made the principal's list. My first question I would like to ask you is, how did you get on the principal's list?
I got on the principal's list through a series of work throughout a bunch of classes. Of course, everyone's given assignments, homework, tests, whatever you're doing in that class. Overall, I put a little bit of work into it, and that's how I got there.
Well, what do you recommend for anyone who strives to get the principal's list?
Don't overcomplicate it. A lot of people make this giant goal where it's like, I have to get principal's list, but it's so difficult to get a 3.7. Just put just a tiny bit more effort into it. I'm not saying it's not that hard, because it can be difficult at times. Some people may not be good at English. I'm not good at English. But if you just put a little bit more work and time into it, most people, if not anyone, should be able to get principal's list.
And if anything, how hard was it for you to get on it in the first place?
So it wasn't for me personally, it wasn't too hard, because last semester I had all the classes that I enjoyed a lot. I'm big on science, history, I like that sort of stuff too, and overall it was last semester was a little easier for me. This semester will be a little more of a challenge, but I feel like I'm going to be able to get it.
Well, thank you for your time here, Jaden. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Jaden, for sharing some advice for those who want to accomplish more than they already have. Now back to the hosts with more.
Thank you and congratulations to who got recognized at the Semester 1's Honor Roll Assembly.
Now, let's go to Carter Colby's big story on Rotobec with Carson Colby.
Hi, my name is Carter Colby, and today I'll be interviewing Tyler Noyes and Carson Colby from Rotobec about the work release. Do you enjoy working at Rotobec?
I do.
What does your day look like as a senior at work release?
I wake up at 4:45, get ready, come to work for 6. I work from 6 to 12, noontime. Go to school till 2:30, come back for 3. I did. And then leave here 4:30. And then that's the end of the day.
What is one of your greatest accomplishments here?
Learning how to weld a tower.
Can you tell us a little bit about Rotobec?
Yep. So they started probably early 1970s. I think it was 72. Marcel had a buddy up in St. Justine that had some issues with some heavy equipment, and he ended up working with him, and he was the first one to ever do the full 360 rotation on a rotator. Back in the day, a lot of rotators would lock out, so it'd go 3/4 of the way and then you couldn't go anymore. So nowadays you have a lot of rotators, most of them 360 degree rotation, but he was the first to ever do that. And then I think Rotobec itself, founded in the mid-70s up there, started progressively getting bigger, started building their own attachments, their own loaders, and it grew. And then finally, they brought like shipping and stuff down here, some sales stuff down here close to the interstate. And then through years and years of doing that, they started doing production down here on Elites. And then now we got the Grofton plant as well. So they scaled up probably 5-6 years ago and did that plant up there, and they do a lot of grapple attachments, for scrap metal, forestry, all sorts of stuff like that.
Do you guys have any other students that participate in the work release with you?
We don't right now. Your brother was the first. We do plan in the future to do it more. I think it's really good. It's good for the company. It's good for the kids too. So it's worked out really well.
How do you think allowing students to do the work release benefits you here?
It benefits us because it gets the next generation involved, It's kind of, times are changing. Not every kid wants to get out of school and, be a welder. Back in the day, you'd have almost the entire class. You wanted to do that, keep the blue collar dream alive. So it's trying to keep this next generation wanting interest and having interest in this stuff, whether it be welding, CNC machining, bigger scale painting, or even just a general labor position in here. It just opens the door. So that's where it benefits us. Where it benefits the kid, it gets them, maybe their senior year or junior. You don't know what you want to do, and it gets you in here. You can learn a trade, and you can get paid to do that. So it's very good benefit for the student.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Carter, for your intriguing big story on Rotobec.
Now let's go to Kassidy Smith, who will be covering the semi-formal March Meltdown Dance, hosted by the National Junior Honor Society that happened on Friday, March 21st from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Hello, I'm Kassidy, and last Friday was the school's Winter Carnival Dance. It was for grades 8 through 12 and was organized by the NJHS National Junior Honor Society. We'll now go to Mallory, a member of NJHS, for more information about the dance. How long did it take you to plan this dance?
It took us a couple months because it was originally supposed to be Winter Carnival, which was in February. We've known since the beginning of the year that we kind of wanted to do this though, but for this specific dance with the re-theme, it was probably about a month.
How did you plan it?
We all got together like once a week every morning before school, and we just discussed some options and looked into some things outside of school, like we did decoration shopping outside of school on our own.
What was the goal of this dance?
We're trying to raise money because we want to start a food pantry, kind of like a free food pantry in Lisbon, because like Littleton has one and Woodsville has one, and we think it's a really good way that we could help improve our community and give back.
Did the dance go well? Was it successful?
We didn't have that big of a turnout, just because of the reschedule. A lot of people weren't expecting it and didn't know about it, but I think it was still very fun, and the people who wanted to be there were very fun, because they brought the energy.
And of course, did anyone have killer dance moves?
I think everybody did.
Alright, thank you, Mallory.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well.
Thank you, Mallory, for the information. I hope everyone enjoyed last week's dance. I know I did. Now back to today's host.
Thank you, Kassidy, for showing us just how fun the dance was. Now, before we end this week's broadcast, let's watch the second half of our Women's History Month segment with our staff.
Is there a woman in your life that has had a big impact on you?
Of course I have. My mother is one of them, but I think I will focus on my grandmother. She was a Southern belle, so I mean like white gloves, petticoat, old school Southern belle. And she was always somebody that if I was having a bad day, I would call her because she was the queen of one-liners. She didn't like to be on the phone. She grew up not having a phone, so she didn't like it. And she would just be, well, Melissa Sue, that's my name, the whole thing. She would, Melissa Sue. And she would always, whatever the story was, would always have this one-liner, and it was the perfect thing. And then she would just hang up. and it would just make me do the work of thinking. So I did write some of them down because I knew I'd forget them. So a couple of them, don't get too big for your britches, which basically just means don't be overly confident. Fake it till you make it. So I might not be good at something right now, but if I just keep working on it or fake it, I'd get there. This one's a good one. Melissa Sue, you attract more with honey than with vinegar, so I need to be nicer and less aggressive. And then my favorite one that I have to remember as an adult is don't go borrowing trouble, which basically means don't be looking to make your life more difficult. So my grandmother, for sure.
Why do you pick your grandmother over your mother?
I think because my mom is still with me, so I can go to her still, and we can have those conversations now still, but my grandmother's been passed, and I wish I talked to her more now as an adult, so it's a little bit more reflective than what I currently have.
Thank you.
Is there a woman in your life who has had a big impact on you?
Yeah, I say professionally, I've been lucky to work for a lot of people that I've learned a lot from. Some that come to mind when I got into teaching, when I was in Groveton, when I started. Lisa Burbach was the student services coordinator, and she was very supportive of me and kind of led me along, taught me what I needed to know. I moved to Littleton after that, and I was able to work for Crystal Martin and Kelly Noland, two people that had a big impact on managing students, working with staff, understanding some of the rules of education and special education at the time. And then I went back to Groveton, and I was able to work for Erin Messer. She was the building principal, and I learned a lot from her about dealing with staff and managing personalities. And she had very different personalities, which I also was able to learn a lot about how that worked. And I thought we worked very well together. And then also in Groveton, Ronna Hasbrook was the superintendent at the time, and she had a big influence on me, particularly in getting further along into educational administration. And I watched how she was able to carry herself, how she managed things. And I learned a lot from her there. And then in this building, before I even got into teaching, I was able to work with a lot of the middle school staff during my student teaching time. And I learned a lot from Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Houghton, working with Mrs. Frank now, Mrs. Clark. So I think I've had a lot of women that have been able to help me professionally grow into the position I'm in now.
Who is a woman in your life that has a big impact on you?
So that would be my mother. She was diagnosed with cancer when I was really young, and she is the toughest person I know. She has always been there for me. She pushes me. She tells me how much she is proud of me. So she has definitely had the biggest impact. She is my hero who I look up to, and the strongest person I know.
Thank you again to all the staff who participated in the short interviews.
And thank you so much for tuning in for this week's broadcast.
Make sure to tune in our next episode, which will be covering our first week of April events at LRS.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to keep up with Panther Productions. Have a great day, Panthers.